Hi, everyone. Justin Henderson with RecruitMilitary. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me to discuss this month's jobs report. Can I get a thumbs up from the producers that you can hear me? I didn't hear the intro, so just want to make sure we're good to go there. Real quick, I want to jump into what we do every month, which is go down through the jobs report. This is really interesting because we were at 3.1% for veteran unemployment last month, which was near a record low. And I was really intrigued to see what we would see this month if we would actually crack that 3%. Just so you know, veteran unemployment went below 3% only 3 other times in the 21st century. So veterans, we are being valued for our human skill set, what corporate America used to call soft skills. They're really targeting us for those human skills and saying, hey, I think we need people that can show up to work, people that are mission focused, people that are team builders, not team destructors, and really leadership. Corporate America right now, doing more with less, is looking for leaders to develop strong cultures within their departments. So it's never been a better time to be a veteran, either looking for employment or furthering your education, to jump into this market. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump right into the PowerPoint I put together for the jobs report for March, and we'll discuss the numbers that we see. If you could put that up, Sean. Also, we're going to talk about furthering your education as well at the end of this with my guest speaker. But first, let's jump into the unemployment rate and where we are from here. And here we go. So just want to confirm that everybody can see this. Great. And so this is Vetonomics April. This is our 9th edition. So thank you all for those that have enjoyed. We've been viewing these since the beginning. I am working hard every month to get a little bit better and to be more concise in the information I deliver to the team. But if you have any questions after this, you can reach me on LinkedIn. You can shoot me an email, jhenderson@recruitmilitary.com. Happy to answer any questions that I may have missed during this presentation. But here's the big reveal. So veteran unemployment is down to 2.4%. That puts you just about 200,000 veterans looking for employment across the country. Break that down, divide that by 50, all things equal. I let you know that right now, at any given time, there's just a few thousand veterans in your state looking for employment. Now, if you go to the top 10 states, California, Texas, North Carolina, Florida, New York, those Virginia, those states that really have a large veteran populace, if you're outside of those top 10, you may have 1,000 to 1,500 veterans looking for employment across your entire state. National unemployment went down from 3.8 to 3.6. So we're really right about where we started. We're coming out of the pandemic 2 years later, and the national unemployment rate is really back where it started. We have I'll jump it down here. We have 5.737 million citizens looking for employment right now. February 2020, we had 5.7 million. So there's 37,000 more people looking for employment right now than there was at February 2020 when the pandemic hit. But just a reminder for people that are new to the program, veterans are only 5.6% of the U.S. workforce. This is a little old. This is from the end of 2020. So we're missing 1 year, but I don't think there's that big of a difference between this 2020 and 2021 stats. But that only gives you less than 9 million veterans out in the market working right now at any given time. And here's what I broke out of the report. So we had 531,000 new jobs in March. We're still down about 1.6 million roles. And you can see that with the labor force participation rate. Not a lot of people follow this. An economist, it's something that's important to me. As a populace gets older and wealthier, their labor participation rate lowers. So you'll find like Japan's having a really hard time with their labor participation rate. We're kind of at that 63, 64 mark. When we get down in the mid 50s, we could have a hard time. A vast majority of older people are being supported by younger people working. So that'll be something we'll follow the next 3 or 4 years. But for right now, we're about 1 point away from being back to that February 2020 numbers. The employment ratio, again, that's just about the people that are bringing up their that are total populace that are working. And like I mentioned earlier, we've got about 5.737 million job-seeking citizens right now. So only 37,000 delta compared to February 2020. What's really, really interesting for those users that are looking to get in specific industries, this is what's important. You know, the leisure and hospitality industry has been decimated. We went from restaurants being shut down, resorts being shut down, hotels, you name it. And as they're recovering and coming back, they're looking to fill that gap in talent, but that talent has left and went into other industries. You know, you can see that they're still down 8.7% from their Feb 2020 stats. They're still down 1.5 million people. So it's almost like that 1.6 million job openings. You know, that's hospitality trying to make a comeback. Healthcare brought up 8,000 more people, but they're still down almost 2% of pre-pandemic levels. Manufacturing, which is surprising, you know, I would say from the RecruitMilitary side, the largest group of companies coming to us looking for military talent are that manufacturing world. And then attached to that would be the transportation, warehousing, distribution side. So manufacturing is down 128,000, transportation's up 600 and some thousand. What was really interesting about the transportation warehousing, when I looked at that, they lost 1,000 roles in warehousing, but they gained 7,000 or 8,000 in gig workers. So distribution, people delivering your Uber Eats or delivering your groceries or your Amazon order or anything like that. The gig worker, that remote worker, that contract of, hey, this is kind of flex work is really big right now. And we're seeing that there. Construction it passed pre-pandemic levels last month, and it's continuing to grow another 19,000. We're short almost 4 million homes across the United States. So you're going to see construction continuing to boom. We still have that construction bill that made it through Congress a few months ago that has to be implemented. So there's going to be a lot of money in that industry. So those of you looking to get into market, you're looking for an industry that's going to grow. I'll tell you that manufacturing needs a lot of help. Construction's going to boom. Of course, warehouse transportation. We're becoming more of a order-in type society, so having things delivered to us. We're going to see that grow. And then, of course, you can see leisure and hospitality. There's a huge delta. So that means there's an opportunity to make an impact quickly there. Another point that people are really, really looking at is inflation. You know, we're at the largest inflation growth we've had, and I don't even know the last time it's been this high. I'd have to go look. But 7.9%. Wage growth is great. It's 5.6%, but it's not keeping up with inflation. So we're going to have to see, as you can see, the Fed creating more increasing interest rates. They're going to be working pretty aggressively. I think they're even talking about a 0.5 point raise next instead of their typical quarter point. So we'll see them trying to slow down the economy, i.e. slow down the inflation and that burn rate to hopefully get it more leveled out. So keep an eye on that. Going back through what we've seen for last month, you know, March numbers, what we saw were, again, construction, manufacturing, retail, trade, professional services growing again. I'm not, you know, I think that pretty much just covers any office job that can't fit in these other ones. So you're going to continue to see that. But leisure and hospitality, you know, that's that biggest growth for opportunity. They're the biggest ones that have that delta for talent. And it'll be interesting to see how they retool themselves. You know, I was in the restaurant industry for 12 years before doing this, and the compensations just broke. The savvy corporations that own large restaurant chains, I think they may come up with some new incentives to help the staffing shortage, even the hotel chains. I've talked about the great resignation, the great migration, then the great renegotiation. You know, the great migration was we had a lot of citizens moving to the southeast from colder weather. And then the great resignation was when we went home and people started spending more time at home and realizing, hey, maybe I'm not in the right career path. I'm not at the right company, or hey, the culture is not what I'm looking for. I think that was the biggest thing we've seen here. We have a saying that culture eats strategy for lunch. And that's what I hear a lot. Veterans that have been out in market and have been working for a few years, and they come back and go, hey, Joe or Jane, you've been having a great career. Why leave? They go, well, hey, you know what? It's just the culture, or I don't feel appreciated. So where we're at now, that great resignation is turning to the great reimagination. What that means, I got this from the Wall Street Journal yesterday. Companies are struggling to attract talent. Top companies are rethinking their work ecosystem. So what they're doing now is they're moving from jobs to skills. The job description was created during the Great Depression, 25% unemployment rate. Right now it's 2.4% for veterans, a tenth of that. And people are still using job descriptions. Hey, you must have specific experience. You must have certain software. You have to have these certain words on your resume where I won't even talk to you. Smart companies are understanding they can't do that anymore. You want to go for skills, not experience. And that fits real good into the veteran side. And maybe that's why our unemployment rate's below 3%, because companies are looking at skills, and we are skilled leaders, managers, technicians, you name it. Also looking from employees to workforce ecosystems. So they're looking at tapping a broader talent pool. They're looking at, hey, what can be a gig worker? What can be contracted out? Hey, could we have a marketing function, a PR function, an admin function, tech function that we can move out to a contractor instead of a full-time employee, so that we can plug that person in and out when we need them more strategically. Flex from work to flex everything. Remote work is a big deal now. We're over 15% remote work again. I think it's going to stay that way. I know I have companies coming to me giving me more remote opportunities for veterans. And I know that the profiles coming into our system, veterans looking for more remote work. So I can only see that rising. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 18% by end of the year, maybe even 20. But another big one is task, not time and seat management. That is something here at RecruitMilitary we incorporated years and years ago. It wasn't about having your butt in the seat from 8 to 5. It was about accomplishing the mission. I'll tell you what happens is high performers like myself, we're able to accomplish more when we want to accomplish more. We can come in, do what we need to do, or what we're motivated to do at that time, and then plug into kids, other responsibilities, and having that flexibility to accomplish the mission when you have the time is phenomenal. And then from predictive to rapid experimentation, we have all these really smart people that try to predict the market and try to predict the economy, and it never works. My favorite thing is getting a government economist and saying, hey, when's the next recession? Oh, they never see it coming. Yet it happens every 7 to 11 years in the United States. So the smartest companies are becoming reactive. They're building a team that knows how to react. What we say in the military is called commander's intent, understanding commander's intent all the way down the ladder. So all the way at that individual level, that person understands commander's intent and is capable of instilling that in any decision they have. Companies are becoming more and more, what I look at is actually investing in the human, instead of trying to buy that human that's fully invested in already and just use them. And then today, what I'm really excited about is to have Aryanna Hunter on. So like I said, I'm from Pittsburgh originally. And I after the Marine Corps, I went to the University of Pittsburgh, earned my degree in economics. And I thought it was really good now as we're getting into that spring season, as people are starting college, graduating, looking at their next year, what they're going to do, to have Aryanna on to talk about how to use your GI Bill effectively and how to look at different university, different options, and make sure you're doing the right thing. So Aryanna, here's her bio, but she's an Iraq war veteran, mother of 4, author, veteran advocate. This is great. She's the youngest of 10 children. So she's definitely learned how to get by at an early age. And she joined the Army right after 9/11, like so many people watching right now have done. And it's just amazing to have somebody at that age answer the bell at that time. She currently holds her master's in business administration, public administration, and she's working on her PhD. So high performer. I'm really excited to have her on here. She's the director of the Office of Veteran Services at University of Pittsburgh. So really somebody that can help us understand the best way to use your GI Bill. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce Aryanna and welcome her to Vetonomics.
Hey, thanks, Justin. Good to be here.
It's great. I actually am having a problem here because I can't hear.
Oh, no.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Oh, no, that's not good. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Hello?
Hi. Nothing. Sean, can you hear me?
Hello, hello.
I can hear you, Justin.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
I'm a lip reader here right now because,
Oh, no.
oh, you know what? I have you on my speaker here, so we'll adapt and overcome. I love it.
All right.
What's the first thing you do when you go outside the wire? Go to plan B.
Yeah, that's right. You figured it out, though.
Yeah, right? Adapt and overcome. So great. Well, thank you so much for spending a few minutes to talk to us today. And, you know, when I reached out to you a few weeks ago and asked about this, I love that you were so excited to have the conversation. So I guess first, you know, I did a general overview, but if you could do a quick intro and about yourself, we'd love to hear about you.
Yeah, sure. So I am an Army veteran. It's kind of, I don't know what you guys can see, but like there's my husband's Marine Corps flag in the office.
Hoorah.
And there's my Army emblem. So we are a military household, that's for sure. And it's funny, you know, 4 kids. They have, you know, me and their stepdad who are veterans, as well as my ex-husband and his lovely wife who's an Air Force veteran. So all of us are all these veterans who are like taking care of all these kids. It's quite hysterical. But anyway,
Oh, that's great.
yeah. So I joined 2 months after 9/11 happened. For me, it really was, you know, answering the call of service at the time. I felt like growing up in poverty, growing up the way I did, we really didn't have access to everything from education to food, right? Like I didn't know
Mhm.
how I would go to college. I got great grades, but it was not a reality for me. So when 9/11 happened, it was like, I think this is meant to be. I'm supposed to join. I'm supposed to go do this. And when I got out, um, the GI Bill, right? I was like, okay,
Yeah.
what's this mean? I'll do that. And it's interesting. They now call it like your grandfather's GI Bill, the Montgomery GI Bill, the one that I used to go to school.
Yep. Yep.
Is
Same
that the
here.
one you use, Justin?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Aging ourselves a little bit here.
Well, I'm like, grandfather, excuse me.
Yep.
I'm not that old, but that's the reality of it. It was at that time you paid $100 a month for 12 months, and then you got to utilize the Montgomery GI Bill when you got out, but you had to use it within 10 years. There were a lot of stipulations around utilizing it. So for me, I was like, I'm going to school. I'm using this. And I did. I was able to get a bachelor's degree. I have 2 master's degrees. I'm working on my PhD.
Wow.
But it was one of those, like, education's super important to me. And my initial career took me out into corporate America. I was a IT project manager managing software implementations globally for Fortune 500s, and burned myself out really quickly, as veterans often do in roles
Yeah.
like that, right? So it wasn't until 2019 that I recognized for myself that I am a mission-driven person. Like a lot of
Mhm.
veterans, that mission of that organization inspires me to want to do the work. And when I saw the role of director open up at the Office of Veteran Services at Pitt, I was like, that's a mission I can get behind. So
I
I
was going
made
to
a
ask
big
what made you go
switch.
there. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I made a big switch in my life. And, you know, I think we have to like adapt and overcome and kind of figure out
Mhm.
how we are able to contribute to the community. And I never thought that I would end up in the position I am now. But I got there by doing all the things they tell you not to do in the military. I volunteered for everything.
Yeah.
uh,
Right.
yeah, I did. I was like, okay, what nonprofit's doing what? I'm going to show up. I'm going to put on my dirty jeans. I'm going to go do the work. And that's what I did. You know, Team RWB, the mission continues. I mean, you name the nonprofit in the region. I went out and volunteered for them, did the work, started making connections in the community, and started to feel like I was a part of something bigger than myself again.
Well, you know, that's what I had said earlier when I was going through the jobs report. I hear that time in and time out from people looking for a transition veterans is that they just don't feel the call to service at their
Mhm.
current role or their current company or their current group, and they're out there looking for that.
Right.
And you know, I think you were wise to give up a career, right? Going, hey, I'm going this way. It's time to take a step back, figure out what's right for me long term, and then and then redirect. And so with that being said, I mentioned veteran unemployment rate's 2.4%. It's only happened 3 other times in the 21st century. May of 2000, October of 2017, April of 2019. So, it's a tight labor market, but also I think it's because we're retooling so many of our people from, that service-based industry to that product-based industry. So now is a critical time for people that may have that wondering feeling of, am I going down the right path?
Right.
And if they have their GI Bill, if they still have that at their disposal, I think now's a really good time to explore, right, education opportunities. And that's why I wanted to bring you on, because I know I was like you, kind of grew up on the cusp there of welfare and not, and college really wasn't something that I knew I could afford. And I said, hey, I just need direction and purpose. Guess what? Paris Island will do that to me.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And then I went to Pitt, used my GI Bill. So, I wanted to have a conversation with you of, what's the first step? So last month I had on transition assistance manager to actually walk through the 18-month transition plan coming out of the military, going into corporate America. But what if you're transitioning out and you want to further your education? Do you have any guidance of timeline, or how to just make that first step to understand what's the right education to use?
Yeah, I mean,
to
I think the
pursue?
first step is identifying where you want to be, right? So for a lot of people, they're going back home to where they grew up when they're getting ready to get out. Others are like, there's no way I'm going back there. I want to go somewhere else. I want to try something new. And so kind of identifying that space. So maybe it is a school that specializes in IT. Maybe it's Carnegie Mellon. Maybe it's Pitt because you want to be in healthcare. Like whatever it may be. But identifying that school and make outreach to would be like my counterpart there, right? The director in the office. And well, here's the struggle with some of our public institutions. Not all of them have a director in the Office of Veteran Services, right? Not every single one
Right.
has someone like me, but they do have someone that certifies their GI Bill benefits. So asking that question, who's your SEO? Who can I talk to about my benefits at your university? And starting that conversation sooner rather than later. So if you've got a year before you're getting out, you should be having that conversation right now, because the way that the cycles work to be accepted for universities are different. Like a lot of them, you're putting your applications in a January to be accepted for a fall semester.
That's a really good point. Because you reflect back. I reflect back when I was putting in my college applications before I rose my right hand and left in high school. And that was it. It was the beginning of the year, trying to make that plan. You mentioned the SEO, and one thing. So one jumped out. You said location.
Yeah.
And we're such a mobile group of people, right? We can relocate in a heartbeat and be fine. So that location really is something that maybe we don't think about enough. That we understand that you are who you surround yourself with in that group. So making sure that you look at that. But any idea or any advice if you're exploring an online versus a brick and mortar? Like, is there any advice to understand if either of those are the right path for you?
Yeah, I mean, so when you get out, and when we got out, you want to get that degree as fast as you can.
Yep.
And you want to be moving on to the next thing, right?
Yep.
So you want to know how
Right
many
on.
credits are going to transfer from your military experience. You want to know how short are your semesters, how much can I knock out in a year, right? And so that's the component that other people, we should be looking at too. But I don't want to forget the community, right? Part of the struggle of transition for so many people is that loss of community. We get out of the military, we lose our friends, we lose our job, we lose our drinking buddies on the weekends, right? We're alone. And that feeling of alone, I remember being a month out going, oh, I think I'm going to re-enlist. Like I can't do this. I can't be on my own. And, I think the sooner when you have that in-person component in offices like mine, you get that community. It's like instilled in the nature of what we do. Like I've got breakfast on Tuesdays and snacks in my office all the time. And like I send them emails probably more than they want me to tell them to come do yoga or come do some, do some programming with us. To make friends, to build those connections, to like reimagine that community now for them. And so you don't kind of get that online, but you can go quick and you can get done. And so, the pandemic made us all kind of go online for 2 years. And I will say that I saw veterans really hunger for human connection. And you don't get that online. And so that's the challenge, is really kind of thinking about yourself and really identifying what's important to me. Will I be okay doing it online? Do I need the support of a community around me? Would I like the support of a community around me?
Yeah, that's a really important point that I don't know. I know me personally, I didn't think about.
Yeah.
But it's a really important point now, because you have both sides. You have some people that can't wait to get out, and they're never looking at that uniform again. See you later. And maybe they're not, they won't have those issues, right? That they're landing right back in their hometown, they're getting back in their own network, they're fine. And they could do it online, or it's that person that gets out at Fort Bragg and doesn't leave, so they're still around their buddies. So maybe they can do that online course. But I think you're right. It's really important, if you have that trepidation and that concern, hey, I'm leaving the military because I know it's the right thing for my long-term goals.
Right.
But emotionally, I'm still connected.
Yeah.
And if that's who you are and you're listening, per what you said, you really want to look at that veterans group and see that, do they have a robust group? Is it active?
If they don't, create one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, do it. Because there's the Student Veterans of America. They have chapters in so many different schools. So like look up, see if your school has a chapter. We're re-engaging our chapter here at Pitt. The pandemic, we weren't getting together. We weren't doing things in person. So actually next week we're kind of having elections again. So find your SVA chapter too. I mean, that's another really good way to connect with veterans on campus.
And then let's say I apply to University of Pittsburgh. I'm accepted. When do I engage your team?
You engage us before you apply. Because sometimes, especially here at Pitt, we have a waiver for your application fee if you're a veteran. And I can give you that code to do it, right?
Oh, that's great.
So reach out to us, send us an email before you apply. Hey, I'm interested in applying. What are my next steps? I send that email 10 times a day. I've got a template because I send it so often, right? Here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3. If you have any questions, call me. And we'll help you navigate the process, because it does feel like so much. I've got to apply, I've got to get accepted. I got to register for classes. Well, if you call us, we can tell you that veterans have priority registration. So you get to beat all the other guys to pick in the good classes, right?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So those are things you may not know or may not be able to be connected to if you don't reach out to us before you apply.
No, and one other thing you mentioned is that educational credits for your military service. Is that something that like your MOS school could convert to? Or is it something that you had to take some type of specific coursework post A school and everything else?
So when you leave the service, you have a joint service transcript, a JST, and that JST will have every kind of course that you took, whether it was first aid to you attended some classes at the Air Force College, right? Those Air Force College ones are actually easier to get transferred because it's a college and they're accredited. But the others can be a little bit harder to get transferred, depending on the university, depending on their policies. Honestly, Pitt hasn't been great for a really long time in accepting JSTs, but we've just updated a policy. So now we have some more flexibility in accepting those. So, yeah.
Well, that's great. So that's another point to engage the team before deciding on your university, because you could save yourself a semester of school
Heck
just
yeah.
by selecting the university that takes the most amount of credits.
That's right.
If all things equal. That's really amazing. And then, so we've covered the brick and mortar versus online. What about, is there any, you mentioned accreditation, and that drops me into that public versus private market. Public universities have to be accredited, but private universities don't. I've seen this, doing this 16 years, I've seen it too many times to count, where a veteran will come to me looking for employment and on their resume has a degree, but when that company vets that person, says, hey, this isn't accredited, we can't use it. And then that veteran gets hit in the face after already going through all the coursework, paying all the money. Oh my gosh, this is useless.
Yeah.
Any pointers on how to avoid those pitfalls or how to vet different opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, the vetting process individually, it can be really hard, right? Because we do kind of come at it with that mindset, quickest, how many credits are you taking? I just want to be done.
Yeah.
And so the VA instituted a rule, it's called the 90-10 rule, where the university or the college has to have more, or at least 10% of their profit has to come from private sources. They can't have 100% of their money come from federal aid, is essentially what it's saying. And
Okay.
there was a loophole where the GI Bill was not counted as like federal aid. It was counted as private money. And so and that was where we saw a lot of these veterans get caught up and not, have like a piece of paper, but it's worthless. And so the VA is doing their best, right, to kind of be reactive and try to hold institutions accountable. They just came up with another rule. It's called the 85-15 rule, right? There are a lot of numbers involved. But the problem is that sometimes for offices like mine, we're a public institution, doing the right things, is that creates a lot of work that we have to then provide to the VA to like show that we're doing the right thing, right? And so you have SEOs, which is your school certifying official, who's working with the VA to get you funded, get your GI Bill, get you your money, and now they have all these additional duties that they have to do for the VA to be able to get you.
Just a few bad actors make it harder for
exactly. And so it can be a struggle. And so not every office is like mine and has 4 people that we can really manage that workload. Some are, like I said, one person who's also working in admissions or also working in financial aid, and this is just a part of their duties. So that is a struggle.
And like most things, right? Initiative. And if you're vetting a non-public university, make sure that you go and source that it's accredited.
Yeah.
And make sure that it's accredited. We had a great Doris asked a really good question, that looking to pursue an education outside of the MOS. Hey, my MOS was taking me this way. I want to go a totally different way.
Yeah.
Should I do it or not? The concern is when you hit the market, they're going to say you have zero experience. Have you heard that? Have you dealt with that? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I could even speak from like a personal perspective, right? So I was radio communications in the Army, part of an air defense artillery unit. And I got a degree in business and project management, which I did not do in the military. And when I left the service, I was able to not only work as an IT project manager pretty quickly after getting my degree. For them, it was more like, you put in the work. There's 4 years of you showing up on time at 6 a.m., of you deploying, of all the wonderful attributes and assets as a veteran. I mean, it kind of speaks to what you said on the beginning, Justin. It's those skills. It's not so much the work. It's the dedication. And so that's what I recognized in my own career as I talked to folks. It was never like, oh, well, you did commo, but you're not doing commo now. They didn't care. They were like, you're a dedicated worker. You're a hard worker. You follow the rules. And I think that was more appealing than the work that I did while I was in.
Well, yeah. Well, the last sentence you said, right? More appealing, which means passion, and passion increases output. and output's going to, increase is going to help your career. I think what I would want to build on that as well. I was motor transport. I was a truck driver in the Marine Corps, and I didn't want to do that when I got out, and I was a lost soul at Pitt. I just started taking classes, and I remember my junior year, my advisor saying, "Hey, you've already taken all the classes for an economics degree. You now have to take your continuing, your rocks for jocks and all those other ones." I just kept going down, and that's how I got and earned a degree in economics. So I think from my 16 years of experience in this seat, my answer to Doris would be that your career is a lot longer than you realize. At the stage of life you are in now, life's a lot longer than you realize. And LinkedIn they had a report come out 2020. It was the LinkedIn Veterans Work Opportunity Report. And in there, they said that over a third of veterans take a step back in their career when they transition out of the military into corporate America. But within 3 years, over 70% pass their civilian peers. So, my response to anybody thinking about changing direction from military career path to civilian career path, if your passion lays here, follow your passion. That passion and purpose will drive you so far in your career. I mean, I know that's why I'm still here. I'm passionate. Nothing better than giving an E4 a job offer, right? When they've just relocated home and said, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do." It's like, "I've got you. Here you go.
Yeah.
Thanks for your service. Best of luck." So I think that's a really good question, and I think you should be open to it. Also, as far as I mentioned earlier in the program, everybody wants to predict what's going to happen in 3 or 4 years. We don't know. But what I do know is that our labor participation rate is going to continue to decrease as we become an older populace, and they're going to need people with that ability to do more with less, and that's the veteran community. So our unemployment rate is going to stay below the national. So take that risk, bet on yourself, get that degree, and I'm sure you'll land on your feet. And then all that soft skills, human skills that you have for the military is going to shine, and your career is going to grow. That's great. One other thing you mentioned last week when we spoke, was Vocational Readiness and Employment Program. I wanted to pivot to that because I'd never heard of that before. You know, can you expand on that and kind of explain what that is and how that kind of goes into this conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, the first thing I always ask every veteran who walks into my office, because I know they've just transitioned out, they're like, "I just got out in August, it's September," right? And I'm fortunate here in Pittsburgh, we've got a really great VA, but I send them up the hill to our Oakland VA, and I'm like, "Go enroll, and also apply for your service-connected disabilities. Put in an application." First, very, very, very first, because Voc Rehab and Employment, they have a new rule. Well, it's not really a new rule. They reinterpreted an old rule, but it's super valuable as it relates to education and employment. And you can utilize, if you qualify, so you have to have a service-connected disability, 10% rating or higher. And then you put your application in, you talk with a Voc Rehab counselor talks about what you want to be when you grow up. And then
that's great.
Yeah. And then they help you build a plan, and that plan includes your education. It includes a stipend for a laptop, maybe if you need one. It includes books, right? It includes how we can get you from who you are today to the job of your dreams, right? You have to take all these skills tests, and they say, "Okay, it looks like you'd be really great in this particular field." So first and foremost, enroll in the VA, find out your service connection if you have one, and then apply for VRNE. You will get 40. It's again with the numbers and the rules with the VA. It's a 48-month rule, and that would allow you to utilize your VRNE benefits, and then you maintain your GI Bill benefits for afterwards. So that means you can potentially get a master's degree or utilize additional benefit when you get out. And I'd also like to say too, I think another really important component of this is your dependents. So you've got, you maybe served 4, 8 years, 12 years, maybe you retired, and you've got kids. I got 4, right? But you can with a GI Bill, with post 9/11 GI Bill, you can authorize your dependents to utilize your GI Bill, but you have to make that determination before you get out. If you can't elect to do it after the fact. So I tell folks, just do it. If you have a dependent, make that determination before you get out. You actually don't have to do it when you get out, but it at least puts that marker in your file, right? To say, yes, I did make this election.
So you could say, hey, and do you have to pick which dependent? Say you have 4 kids, you have to pick which one gets it?
You can put all 4 of them.
You can list all 4. But say you do that, and a year later, when you're out, you decide to use it yourself. You can do that?
Yeah.
Oh, so everybody should do it.
Everybody should do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Everybody put your dependents.
Yeah, put your dependents on there. Because let's say you do qualify for Voc Rehab.
Yep.
Now you've got your education, your degree, and you already added your dependents onto your post 9/11 GI Bill. Now your dependents can utilize your GI Bill if you want them to.
And the Voc Rehab, you have to have a disability status 10% or above, correct?
Yeah.
Or is it 15? 10?
I believe it's 10. The last time I had the conversation with a representative, I will say, for all of the things I've said to you today, the regulations and rules from the VA are constantly changing. So that's part of the job, is like trying to stay on top of all of these rules and regulations. So double check me. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But those are absolutely double check with the VA. But as far as I know, it's 10% or higher.
That was a good disclaimer statement. Well done. I'm blown away by this because I wasn't aware of it. So you have that, you qualify for Voc Rehab, and then you could get your entire degree, earn a bachelor's degree, then you still have that GI Bill sitting.
Yes. And it wasn't always that case. That was a recent change, either this year or last year. It used to be that they were the same bucket of like money and time, but now it's not. It's 2 separate buckets. And so it just opens up so much more for our veterans and their dependents and families.
Okay. I was going to say it had to have been new-ish.
Yeah.
Because I try to stay on top of this stuff. I think that covers most of what we wanted to talk about. Was there any closing thoughts that you had that we haven't covered yet? Anything you wanted to bring up?
The only thing I'll bring up is that use me as a resource, all of you. Like, my email address is my first name and my last name at pitt.edu. Reach out if you have a question, even if you don't come to Pitt, right? I think for me, that's the most important part of my job, is making sure that we are placing veterans in the university or institution that best supports them, that they're utilizing their benefit to the best that they can. I don't want to see anyone get, the runaround. So I'm happy to help in any way. So.
No, thank you so much for volunteering. I did one other thing popped up, because the Voc Rehab, or Vocational Readiness and Employment Program.
Yeah.
And if this isn't something that you're comfortable answering, I get it. But we're seeing a huge shift towards the trades and earning certificates in, it could be technology, IT, it could be electricians, and again, those are education platforms.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any awareness? Does the GI Bill transfer to those type of, I guess, as long as it's accredited, right?
Absolutely. So Pitt has a manufacturing assistance center up in Bradford at our Bradford campus, and it is a degree program. It's like 18 months. You can go and you become a manufacturing engineer, or, you get a certificate to be able to go do that. It's great. Do it. Absolutely. And I think utilize your GI Bill benefits for those trade programs as well. They're highly beneficial. You get employed really quick, right? Start, finish, done, working.
Yep. It's speed, right? I keep going back to that it's like that whole, what was that old thing is, you go to a car dealership, car maintenance, they'd say you want it done right, fast, or cheap. Pick the 3. And we're just like, we want it done right and fast. And we'll use the GI Bill for the third one. Great. So that's great. No, I just wanted to say thanks again, for spending 30 minutes with us to talk about this. The comment section has been going, I know you and I have been focused on this, but Sean has been answering some questions as they go on, and it sounds like it's been very engaging. So thank you so much. I would think that what stood out for me is if you're looking to further your education, talk to the Veterans Department at the university you're thinking about, or Aryanna, talk to her. But do it early, a year out. If you're less than a year out, do it today, Monday. Call her, hit her up over the weekend on LinkedIn, because it's not too soon to do that plan. 2, accreditation. If it's not a public school, make sure it's accredited. And 3 is that VR&E. If you have a disability status, or if you're going through that process and you want to further your education, make sure that you connect, and that's at the VA, right? They go to the VA, or they call the VA and say, "Hey, I want to talk to whoever's in charge."
Get enrolled, and then sign up for their service connected disability, and you can apply right online at va.gov for your VR&E benefit.
That's phenomenal. And then there was one other thing that you mentioned too.
Get your dependents on your
dependents.
GI Bill. Yeah.
Yes, that's the big one. Like right now, go down to the admin shop, say, I want to put my dependents on my GI Bill. Do that Monday at lunch. And then that way you'll be happy when you get out that you have that option. I think that's that's huge. So, well, hey, thank you again so much for spending the time. It's been a lot of fun. Hopefully it was educational to everybody watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it.
I did. And, thanks so much for having me, Justin.
Yeah, this is great. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye.